Kosher Kitchen number 6. Hello everybody. We're continuing our series of classes about the kosher kitchen. I'm just setting up here the heater over here. Okay. And we start talking about the dairy knife and the meat knife. Okay. We talked about the definition of them, when it's going to be used, going to be called, identify as a fleshik or milchik knife. So first we start with saying that each person should dedicate at home for himself two different type of knives. Okay, highly recommended is to have at least 3: one milchik, one fleshik, and one pareve. So you won't mix between the two, and it's best to do it in a way that it would be easy to distinguish between the two and recognize them. So we always recommend to have different colors, not necessarily different shapes, but different colors makes it much easier. But it's really up to you. You know yourselves. You should have it better in a different drawer. Okay, you have a drawer for the fleshik and for the milchik and for the pareve. It's okay if they are together as long as they are clean. Okay, so that's where we left off, I think, last time. This Torah class is dedicated for Refuah Shalema, speedy recovery. Any names you want to mention now? This class today is not sponsored yet, but anybody. Just to let you know, it's someone's calling me and I have to get rid of it. Let me go. Do not disturb. Sorry about that. Zoom guy, can you see me and hear me? Okay, good. I think so. Okay, so the next thing we're going to focus on is okay, let me just repeat that. A fleshik, sakin basari, it means that we the kind of a knife that we use it on a hot material. For example, I was cutting roast beef. It's hot, and now the knife absorbed this taste. Meaning, even if it was pareve, right now it becomes fleshik. Okay? Or you cut hot schnitzel, so forth and so on. Now, let's talk about the next one is knife to slice bread. We said that it's recommended to dedicate one for bread. It will be pareve only. And if you used knife that is dairy or knife that is meat, as long as they're clean, you can cut the bread or the challah, and use it for either fleshik or milchik. It doesn't really matter as long as they clean. Okay. Okay. What if a person took from the drawer a clean sakin basarit knife that is fleshik? It's clean, and he used it to put, I would say, sour cream. Okay, for example, sour cream on his bread. After finishing smearing this sour cream, he noticed that this is a meat. Is the piece of bread, the slice, okay to be eaten now or not? The answer is you may eat the cheese, even the one that it's in the container, and even the bread that you have it on it, but make sure to wash the knife thoroughly, with detergent, some soap, dish soap, whatever. So make sure that it won't remain for too long on the knife. Same if you took a meat knife and accidentally you cut with that hard cheese. You may eat the cheese, but again, the knife should be washed carefully, with scotch, soap, or in exchange, you can pour on it boiling water from kli rishon. So this is what we do here. We are cleaning it. It happens, especially has Baruch Hashem with kids. So we take it, we clean it with soap, and we pour on it boiling water, both sides, just in case. Okay, that was about that. Sometimes people accidentally takes meat knife and they cutting with it hot cheesecake. Okay, you have a cheesecake. You just took it out of the oven. It's very hot. You want to slice it, or some people they want to check if it's ready. So one of the trick to check if challah is ready, bread or cheesecake, all these things, you take something sharp and you push it in. If it comes more or less dry, it means it's ready. If it comes wet or some residues on it, it means inside it's still wet. It means it's not cooked enough. Make sense? Now, someone did it with a meat knife for a cheesecake. Okay, it was hot. What's going to be the case right now? So, in that case, when someone did that, or he sliced hot cheesecake, and when I say hot, it would be from the from 41 to 45 Celsius. Okay, 110. It's a 110 and up. Even warm to that point, it's considered already hot. And he used this meat knife, and it's still in its baking pan. Okay? So now you need to calculate. The food was hot. The knife is meat. It's in cheese or slicing a cheese. And it's inside the baking pan. There, you need to calculate 60th times corresponded or against where the knife cut. So, if the cheesecake is big enough, obviously you have more. You just need to take from this side a piece, this side a little piece, and throw it away. That's the size of a slice, not slice. And the knife need to be kosherized. So how you kosherize the knife? You basically clean it well, and you need to pour in it boiling water. The term in the Halacha says kedei klipa, meaning like a shell. Okay, so the amount you need to take is like, I don't know, the amount of the thickness is like when you're slicing potatoes, something like that. So you take from this side a little bit, this side a little bit, with the right knife this time, and you throw it away. Okay? If this cheesecake was removed from its original container, which is considered kli rishon, remember kli rishon, kli sheni, kli shlishi, the comes of the kli rishon, from its container that it was baked with, it was removed to a secondary one, then you don't have to take 60th against it to do the calculation. When you did your action on the second, not that you did on the first and then they remove it. They take it, they remove it. Many times it happens. They take it, they remove it, and they use it for another cake or something. The first kli. But the halacha says one that still will take 1/60th, the slice away, will be blessed for being stringent. That it's in a nutshell about a meat knife. Obviously, it could be a lot of other situations. Remember, We live in the kitchen. It's very dynamic. Things happen. You need to be careful. People can use it, for example, not only cheesecake, or something maybe more common in many houses, a pizza. Okay, Pizza Hut. It's hot, and not limited to Pizza Hut. Okay, the pizza is hot. That's okay. Now let's talk a little bit about dairy knife. Dairy knife, which is clean, just taking out of the drawer, and you accidentally sliced with it cold meat, cold cuts. Okay, the meat is permitted, but the knife needs to be washed thoroughly with some liquid soap or dish soap. Okay? Are we good? Good. Everybody say yes, but I can't hear you. It's fine.
Yes, right.
I'm just going to use my psychic talent. Okay. Okay, the next step is, I have so many cases, you have to choose something that is very common. So, a dairy knife, which is clean. Now, the first example was with a cold cut, a cold pieces of meat. It could be any kind. It could be pastrami, it could be just cold schnitzel. It doesn't really matter. It's cold. You can eat the meat, and the knife needs to be washed. Now, what if the meat in this case is hot? Hot is like 110 and up, 45-ish Celsius. So nonetheless, you remove the pot from the fire. It's not on the stove. But the meat is still in kli rishon. It's an original cooking pan or pot. Or he is in skewers. You know what skewers? I hope I'm saying it right. Skewers. I think, you know, the shipud, when you put pieces of meat in it and you put on the... I hope I'm saying the words right. So, so even if the meat is still on it, okay, and it's not on the stove, or you take it from the barbecue with these sticks, skewers, and you start to cut the meat, and then you notice that the knife you're cutting the meat, the hot meat, is dairy. Okay, if the piece of meat is that big, more than the area where the knife cut, you may eat this meat, even if it was hot. But for where you slice, take a piece, a little bit here, a little bit there, throw it away. Okay. Klipa, it's like the size of, I would say, you're slicing potatoes. So, all right. Again, if I moved it from his sticks or from the original pot, you don't need to calculate 60 against it. All what we said is in regards to knives, dairy, or meat, that they were used within 24 hours, bat yoma. So the dairy we use for dairy, hot milk, or the fleishik, the meat was used for hot meat within 24 hours. So it still absorbed in it the previous taste. This is what we have to do. But if the case is you using a knife that he didn't use it the last 24 hours, that we have no problem with the food, and you don't need to calculate any 1/60 against it, and simply clean it, kosherize it, maybe with boiling water, and you're done, finish. You don't have to take slice and throw it away. So we talked about hot and we talked about cold, within 24 hours, bat yoma or not bat yoma. There's one more thing that everybody needs to remember. When we said hot or boiling hot, it means it has the power to deliver taste from one place to another place, from the knife to the meat, or the meat to the knife, and so forth and so on. But it's not limited to hot food. You know, our sages said that also spicy food has the power to withdraw, to take out taste, or to give taste. Okay? For example, what will be considered harif? Harif means spicy. Harif. So chili. Okay.
Garlic also?
Garlic, onion, jalapeno, and more. Okay. There's some vegetables that they are considered harif. Okay, harif means spicy. So imagine to yourself a dairy knife. Its bat yoma was used in less 44 hours, few hours before. Now I cut with this dairy knife an onion. Now, since the onion is spicy, it will deliver its taste to the knife, which means that he is delivering this taste and he absorbing now some taste of the I don't know if they use it for whatever dairy food goes back to the knife, to the onion. So it's important. That's what we have here. My wife bought a few knives to cut with them vegetables, and they are parve. We have more than we have like 10 of them. Some in the dishwasher, some they still have something to use. So you solve the problem because it's used only for parve. But if you use it for meat and you use a meat knife, it's okay for meat. The problem is when you want to use a dairy and now you want to eat the onion in meat. But what cut the onion? A dairy knife. And now you want to eat it with meat, salami or something like that. Therefore, if it happens, you just slice with a parve a little bit from here, a little bit from there, 2 centimeters. Okay, one, finish, throw it away, and you may use the rest of the onion. Okay, and these pieces that you moved can be eaten with dairy, but it cannot be eaten with meat. Just a general comment, one should not leave onion, chopped onion, not chopped onion that you open and you cut, slice, and they're anywhere for 24 hours, even in the refrigerator. And one condition, this is the Gemara recommendation, okay, because it absorbs what they call ruach ra'ah. Ruach ra'ah can refer to germs, can refer to other not healthy things. So our sage says, if it still have its root, you still go to many houses, kosher houses, you see half an onion. It's always, you see at the bottom, the roots. Because if it's the roots, it still exists, don't worry about it, it's okay. Don't ask me the mathematics of it. This is the recommendation of the Talmud. Or another trick is to leave onion or chopped onion in the refrigerator, the one that you already cut, or garlic, people take it out of the shell, is to spice it a little bit or to pour a little bit oil. So for example, on our house when we have a container full of peeled garlic, my wife, as soon as she opened, she put olive oil, a little bit, mix it, and when it's spiced, when it's already mixed with something else, it loses its power in a way that it's protected. Okay? Meaning, if you eat from it even a few days later, no harm will happen. It's called something seguli. Seguli, it's beyond of our, chemistry and all that. Okay. All right. Imagine to yourself someone cut food with a non-kosher knife. For example, they use the knife to cut with it pork. It happens sometimes at work. People accidentally, people use it to slice some sort of non-kosher salami or whatever, and they put it in the sink, and a co-worker came, he just washed it, so it clean, and he cut his own cheese. And they realized that this is a not kosher knife. Now what is going to do? Halacha says that if you cut with it something spicy like an onion, even if it's after 24 hours, cannot eat from that food anymore. Okay? If you cut not something spicy, a bread, again, slice, move it away, and you're good to go if the knife was clean. But obviously, this is an extreme cases. Okay, we have to be careful not to mix all these things together. Okay, I want to encourage each and every one of you to Be'ezrat Hashem to learn these halachot. We just went over few very important concepts and examples, but obviously there's many of them. When you understand the idea behind it, I think you'll be able to figure it out. In any case, when you have a question and you're not sure, ask your local rabbi or ask your rabbi what's to do in such case. Don't just throw away food. Sometimes people are throwing away the whole pot, and this is a grave mistake. So check it out. Even if it's a small slice, fine, throw it away. Okay. Other than that, ask a posek. All right. The next topic that I want to discuss with you is something that most of the people, not most of the people, many people don't pay attention to, which is the law of koshering utensils. When I'm saying koshering utensils, doesn't mean to take it to the mikveh, because this is obvious. Any dish, any utensil that is not a Jewish made, it needs to go through some sort of purification process, as the Torah commanded in the book of Numbers and other places, and then Shulchan Aruch, the Talmud, it's all over. So, what does that mean to kosher utensils? So we have to learn what happened if I cooked dairy in a meat in a dairy pan or a pot. If I mixed both, or we put a non-kosher meat. Sometimes people koshering, it happens, believe me, it happens. People bought a kosher chicken, but next to it is the non-kosher chicken. They accidentally took the not kosher from the not kosher side. They didn't pay attention. Then they found out at home that they're actually cooking a non-kosher meat. So obviously you can eat the meat, but what's the story would be with the pot or any utensil that you use? Things like that happen. So we need to know what one needs to do. So let's start with understanding where is this halacha derived from? So halacha comes from. So it's in the book of Bamidbar, Numbers 31. It's from verses 21, 23. Okay, Numbers 31, from verses 21 to 23. It's a story about Israel coming back from the war against Midian with the big spoil of a war. And they brought with them not only livestock and servants and maidservants and all that, they brought with them a lot of jewelries, a lot of gold and silver and copper and metal and weapon and dishes and spoon and knife and whole silverware and old china thingy. Oh, they were so excited. Now they had a question what to do. So Kadosh Baruch Hu gave them the answer. Hashem says, that's what I want you to do. And Moshe delivered the message. Hashem told them that all the utensils that is related to seudah, eating, that they took as a spoil of war, they need to be kosherized. And remember, these people, the enemy, used to cook with it pork, camels, horses, donkeys, chimpanzee, baboon. I don't know. Why are you laughing, guys? It's a serious matter. So, it's not kosher. How can I kosherize the pot right now? So the Moshe Rabbeinu taught them how to make it kosher. I'm going to read the Hebrew text. ויאמר אלעזר הכהן אל אנשי הצבא באים למלחמה זאת חוקת התורה. Elazar the Kohen said to the military people that this is a law from the Torah that Hashem commanded Moshe. He says, the gold, the silver, the copper, the metal, the bedil is brass, I think it's a brass, and oferet is lead. This is kind of from the metals family. Okay. He says everything you should kosherize it with fire and must go through Mei Nida. Nida, everybody knows what Nida stands for. And Mei, the water of Nida. What does that mean, the water of Nida? What a Nida does after 7 days of cleaning, it's a 7 days, give or take some, 5, doesn't matter, it's just the concept. First day after she see that she cleaned, she need from that point on to count 7 clean days. So, the end of the process, after 7 clean days, what a woman, everyone should go to a mikveh. It's called Mei Nida, the water of Nida. So Hashem said, you must take these dishes, dish utensils, and put them in the mikveh. It will be called tevilat keilim, when we dip the dishes in this mikveh. Every mikveh today has a side mikveh that you put the dishes in it with the blessing. We'll get to it. We'll learn very easy, a great mitzvah. You can use a lake for that purpose. You can use a river, the ocean. Okay, but here in the neighborhood, checked around, no ocean, no rivers, no ponds, no lakes close by. But I found out that next to the mikveh there is a small spot says tevilat keilim, to dip your dishes. Very easy. And it's for free. Don't worry about it. So you dip it in that mikveh. Alright, so we learned from that all these kind of material should be dipped and kosherized beforehand. Today, it's much more complicated than then, in a way. Because back then you had a very simple dishes made out of either copper or metal. Today there's a mix of material you can't even know what it's made out of. It's a ceramic, but it's covered with glass and a layer of this and that, and it has a magnetic bottom, so it can be used on a special stove, okay, called induction. So today it makes it a little bit more complicated, but in general it's the same idea. Okay, some utensils cannot be kosherized because they absorb the prohibited food in a way that no matter what you do, it won't take it out. For example, it won't spit it out, it won't reject it out. For example, utensils made out of clay or wood or stone, depends on the kind, okay? Because granite is different. We'll get to it, we'll see. So it could be a problem. I just got a question from someone, I forgot who was it, yesterday or 2 days ago, about eating on a wooden table. Okay? So if you eat on a wooden table, you probably absorbed non-kosher food if you're eating outside in the park, or at home you put one time dairy, one time meat. It's a problem. It's maybe beautiful table, but it's not recommended. It's practically causes a lot of issue, and you have to put cover. So if you're already covering it, you're not really enjoying its beauty. So what's the point? But anyways, it's for you to decide what you want to buy. The best methods to avoid this conflict is to put on a wooden table some sort of a cloth, so it will separate between your food to what the table already observed. Okay? Okay. Any questions? Nothing? Continue. Okay. There is something called libun. Libun.
Rabbi, I have a question.
Yeah.
When you talk about the wooden table, is this a new wooden table, or is this a previously used wooden table? Should you just always have a cloth?
It doesn't really matter. Okay? It doesn't really matter, because if it's the first time you use it, you eat on it dairy, it'll become dairy, that spot. If you eat meat, it become meat. Because wood absorbs and it can get the taste out of it. Unlike metal products or glass, it's very easy to clean.
Thank you.
Rakasha. So something called libun. Libun, I think it's called incandescent. Incandescent, will make sense. That you put it in a fire till it become white. It's very, very red, and then it's white. It's when you take it out, the metal. So some dishes you can't put them in such heat; it will ruin them. But it's the only way you kosher them. So we always recommend to throw them away, give it away, or buy a new one if it's something you try to kosher for Pesach. Okay. Let me skip something here. Okay. I think I'm going to skip that. This is going to be too long. All right. Listen to this. What's the source of koshering pots if you accidentally eat or cooked in the pot a dairy when you're supposed to cook meat, or meat, because what's the source, right? It's from the Beit HaMikdash, the temple. When the Kohanim I'm not going to go through the details now, but you get the concept. Part of the service on certain sacrifices, they have to eat from the cooked meat. It's a must. Now, what's left, called notar, it's modern Hebrew or modern English, is left over. They didn't finish. The remaining. If it's in the pot, obviously it cooked with it. The pot absorbed the taste of this meat. Whatever left over must be removed. When we put the other korban there now, and they have to eat, it will mix with the previous one. It's prohibited. So the halacha says, the Torah says, you must wash the pots in between. Every service, every sacrifice, when they eat it, the new one, it needs to be washed in between. So we understand from that, and we learn from that, the Torah teaches us, that you must make sure that the pot is clean in between dishes. From something is permitted to something now it's prohibited because it's left over. Left over need to be dealt in a different way. You can't eat it anymore. There's a time limit for it. All that. It's all concept. I don't want to go through it. But we're learning it derived from the service in the Beit HaMikdash when the Kohanim had to wash and clean the pots in between the services. Okay, if it makes sense. This is where it was derived from. Okay. Okay, what is the time of hagalah, kosherizing a pot? Imagine to yourself, what time is it? Okay, we have 8 more minutes. Imagine to yourself that you have a pot that you cooked in it something that is prohibited to eat. Is a nevela or treifa or a pig, or pork, whatever. You want to kosher it now. The halacha says you can't kosher it now till after you wait 24 hours. When you wait 24 hours, whatever this pot absorbed is considered spoiled already. Okay? And now you can dip it in the boiling water. The concern is that if an hour later, after I realize that this is prohibited food that was cooked in that pot, I'll throw it away. Now I want to wash and kosherize the pot. I dip it in the boiling big pot. The water will take what's in the pot to the water and it comes back. So 24 hours, I don't worry because it's considered after 24 hours already spoiled. If it makes sense to you. Okay. Any questions? I have to skip here a lot. Okay. This is also a very common question. How can I switch from meat to dairy, dairy to meat? People have a wonderful pot that they use for scrambled eggs, not pot, pan. But then they realize that they have 2 or 3 for the meat and they don't really need it. They're okay with 1, maybe 2. Why they have 3? But all 3 were used, all these pans were used for meat. He wants to use 1 for dairy. So you have an option to throw it away or to buy a new one, or not to throw it away and buy a new one. But the halacha says you can maybe kosherize it. If it's the non-stick style that I told you today, it makes it more complicated. It's coated with a material that makes it non-stick. We can give you an example of very common material of non-stick No? Someone?
Teflon.
Teflon, thank you, Adrian. Teflon, it's problematic. Cannot be kosherized. I heard it's not healthy as well, but the question is what you do. You can kosherize it. You have to get a new one. But if it's just a regular aluminum, any other material, simple material that we have, cast iron, whatever. So you can kosherize it. What we do, we have two options. After you clean it well, you take a big pot, boiling water, and you dip it inside. Wait, count to 10, take it out, and it's kosher, it becomes parve. If you don't have the ability to dip it in a big pot, maybe because the pan is too big, or maybe because you don't have a big pot. So you can wash it well and pour on it boiling waters from both sides 3 times. Some say once enough, 3 times is best. And then it turns from meat or dairy to become what status now? Anybody? Who's going to be the first one?
Parve.
What?
Parve.
Parve. Parve means natural. Now you can use it for whatever use you want. Verstehst? Capish? Okay, wonderful. You should know that Ashkenaz has a custom not to do that, to turn meat pot/pans to a dairy and vice versa. But Sephardi and Yemenite are more lenient on that. If you do the right thing, you can do the same for Passover. Passover, I told you, in many shuls, also in Or Torah, they have a big barrel and it's boiling water. People bring their special dishes they want to use for Passover to kosherize it. And I think they do that a week before Pesach. Okay? Okay, I think I'm going to stop now because I'm starting here to talk more in details. And Be'ezrat Hashem, next time we'll talk about things like toaster, glass dishes, Pyrex, Duralex, porcelain, and all that stuff. Very interesting. The next topic will be prohibited food. For example, just to give you food for thought, a human skin. Yeah, for the cannibals among us. No, I'm just kidding. A human skin. Yes, you guys sound surprised, but you do that all the time. You go like that, and some of you not even spitting it out. Is it okay? Sorry, I don't mean to discuss you. There is there's a custom, again I don't want to discuss you, but there's a custom among some women that they think it's a good mazal after the Brit Milah to take the foreskin and I don't want to continue. Yeah, it happens. What about breastfeeding woman, the milk that's for the baby? What happens if that milk mixed with other milk? That happens when women take out milk for the baby to prepare. It's in the refrigerator. Sometimes it's closed down. All this situation, it's not really closed, the lid, and it's pale and all that. What is that? What this milk consider as of? What about the milk from a non-kosher animal and all these things we need to learn? And milk powder. What about honey? honey. How is it possible that we can eat honey? Because we've learned that any animal that is not kosher, what's this animal derived, it's non-kosher. For example, there is a camel, and a camel female. Camel is not kosher. But what about its milk? The milk is also not kosher. Any product that come out of it, it's not kosher. So is it kosher to eat bees? No. What about beans? Oh, beans, yes. Don't get confused. Just kidding. So bees is not kosher. So if it's not kosher, how is it possible that we're eating honey that comes through the body of the bees? Did you think about that? If not, this is the right place to think about these weird things, because it's all part of the Torah. Okay, love you guys. Be'ezrat Hashem, want to wish you stay warm. I wish you all the best. Stay warm. Be careful out there. May Hashem bless you with great parnasah. There's a class after me about Parashat HaShavua, the weekly parsha, and going to be given by Rabbi Ronen. Very interesting topic. Don't just wait for this class to study the laws of kosher kitchen. Just read 10, 15 minutes a day and you'll be very, very smart. Maybe even one day you can become a rabbi assistant. I'm kidding. Yes, question? No? Okay. Say there. Shavua Tov, everybody. Kol Tov, Be'ezrat Hashem. Meet you again at 8 o'clock. Bye.